Hey, how y'all doing today? I want to tell you about a drug dealer. I want to talk about him. He was one of the baddest men in the world. He had a lot of drugs coming in the town and nobody knew about him. He was real, he's one of the most intelligent drug dealers out there. Nobody never knew about him. He always stayed under the radar. He wasn't like these other guys out there that tell everybody what they're doing. He stayed under the radar. He was known for supplying a lot of people, but nobody knew who he was. He stayed to himself. He had a lot of guys that worked for him. They knew who he was, but nobody else knew. They was the sellers. He was the man. They all was the middleman. And what he would do, he'd negotiate with them, and they would go out and get business for him. But nobody never knew about him. And like I said, he was the unknown drug dealer. Police never knew about him. He let his middlemen get the name. He let them become the kingpin, known as the kingpin, while he was the unknown man. He made all the money. They got the fame. And I think he was the most intelligent guy out there that ever delivered, Yeah, the guy that I'm talking about, I'm going to call him the man because he was the true man. He was the true person that knew everything about drugs. He knew that he needed not to get his hands dirty, and he didn't have to do that because he had other people to do that for him. And he knew not to get his name out there because all the other drug dealers that got their name known, they was the ones that went to prison. So he kept his name from that, the limelight. He didn't meet anybody. He made sure he stayed away from everybody. He was just the brain. And that's what I liked about him. He was the brain behind the whole operation. And nobody knew all the money he made. They didn't know what he was making because no middleman knew about the other middleman. He kept all that separate. He didn't deal with violence like these guys out there today, killing and they want everybody to know they the man. They want everybody to know that they own the block. He wasn't into that. He was a businessman. He wasn't known for being on the block. He wasn't known for having his name out there. He didn't let the police know who he was. That wasn't his claim of fame. He didn't want to be famous for being the biggest drug dealer out there. He didn't want that. And that's the problem with a lot of these guys. They want everybody. Now I remember, he was very secretive. He would never let nobody know what he was thinking. He was always thinking 5 or 10 steps ahead. And he was doing business that nobody ever knew about. Everybody that, if you were dealing with him on a drug tip, you didn't know anything about his legal tip. You didn't know anything about the legal businesses that he had because he separated the two. And you would never know what he was doing. And that's what I liked about him. He stayed away from everything. He didn't even let the business people know who he was. He was doing business and he was dealing with people like, Amazon. But Amazon didn't know what he was doing. People that owned Walmart didn't know what he was doing. he was dealing with these type of people. You know, I used to ask him, I said, man, why you drive that old car? He always had an older car. You know, the car might be 10 years old. And I said, man, you got all this money, you drive that old car. He said, Michael, I stay out in Limelight. That's the reason why I drive this old car. Nobody don't think I have anything. You know, and if you want to stay out the limelight, you gotta keep yourself clean. You can't you can't let nobody know what you're doing. And that's what I liked about him. You know, these guys today, you know everything that they're doing. They want to live this lifestyle like the rich and the famous. They want everybody to know what they're doing. They on Instagram, they on Facebook, but they tell their own business. And they say, oh, somebody snitched on me. No, you snitched on yourself. Because everybody know what you're doing. But the man never you never know you never knew what the man was doing. He never showed his cards. And that's what I liked about the man. That's why I call him the man, because nobody knew who he was and they don't know his name. He's called the man. The man was known. You know, that's something that I say that he was known to the world, but he was unknown. Nobody knew who was doing what, because the man never let you know what his name was. And he had middlemen to do that. He didn't deal with the guys on the street because they wasn't on his level. He didn't want them to know who he was. You know, his claim of fame wasn't letting everybody know who he was. I'm telling the story, but you know him as the man. You don't know nothing else about him. Only thing you know is his name is the man.